The Smith Corona Standard. Smith Corona machines are typewriters that are not easily found on the European mainland. So I was pretty stoked when I came across this one, and it even came with an original brush, an original manual, and a touch typing leaflet. This is the base model, as the standard moniker implies. The two other versions of these machines were the Sterling, which came with paper supports, a paper guide and a tab rack, and the Silent, which has all the features of the Sterling and added a quick release platen in the mix. There were also versions of the flat top design with a silver shell for promotional purposes, named Gorhams, after the company that made these silver shells. Lots of these were lost to the ages, unfortunately. Even though the standard didn't have the fancy features of the Silent or the Sterling, and is a bit of a bare bones machine, it was quite popular and sold very well. One of the big reasons was that, although being a fairly basic machine, it came with floating shift. Instead of moving the entire platen up and down, also known as carriage shift, these machines came with a basket that moved up and down, which was a lot lighter and therefore easier to use. Something else Smith Corona marketed was the movement of the keys. The key tops themselves stay level as you type, whereas on other machines the key tops tilt a bit when you type on them. Erica portables also use a mechanism to keep the keys level as you type. I think this keyboard has been modified later on in its life, because these two buttons, with an alpha and a multiplication sign, are a tad different from the others. On the left you have a shift button and a shift lock. On the right there's another shift key, a margin release and a backspace key. Just above the keyboard you have a manual ribbon reverse lever on the left and the color selector on the right. These machines look like the love child of a piano and a typewriter, and with a bit of work they can be brought to a beautiful shine. Sadly, mine has some deep scratches that I couldn't remove. Below the ribbon cover you can see the automatic ribbon reverse forks as ribbon spools. These forks need eyelets in the ribbon to function properly. On the left you can find the touch control lever. On the right you'll spot the serial number. The flat top standard serial numbers start with 1C, that of a Sterling with 1A, and that of a Silent with 1S. The serial number on this one is a bit special, not only because it only uses two numbers, but also because it ends with an X. What I can tell from looking at the typewriter database is that machines with extra keys get a serial number that ends with an X. If you compare this touch typing guide that came with the machine, you'll notice that the top row has two additional keys. Unfortunately, those two keys were misaligned and print way too high compared to the other keys. This can be solved with soldering, but that's not something I have any skill in. Also, I don't own any of the tools required to do that. Some more interesting stuff for the Slug goblins watching this video. The back of these extra slugs was grinded off so they don't collide with the ribbon cover. And while I'm on the topic of slugs, remember those adapted keys with the alpha and the multiplication symbol? Those two slugs don't have a foundry mark on them. Moving further up the machine. Here is the return lever, the line space adjuster, and the left carriage release lever. I'm not a huge fan of the line space adjuster because it lacks any indication of what type of line advance it is set to. The left platen knob can be pulled out to activate the line spacing mechanism. On top of the platen there's the paper bail. The paper bail is an optional feature. These machines usually came with paper fingers instead of a paper bail. At the back of the machine you have a slider to set the left margin and a slider to set the right margin. These two bits of damage at the back shell originate from the rubber cushions in the case of the machine. Probably some dirt got on them and that got rubbed into the paint. On the right side of the carriage you can find another carriage release lever, a paper release lever, a carriage lock and the right platen knob. Well, I call it a carriage lock, but actually in the manual it's called a carriage centering lever. and it only stops the carriage from moving to the left. If you push the carriage to the right, it just comes loose. So, ready to type if you take it out of its carrying case. A couple more things to show on the bottom. Something I really appreciate about this machine is the linkage system of the type bars. Smith Corona typewriters have these little clamps, making it fairly easy to detach and reattach the type bars. You just insert a thin screwdriver, twist, and it comes apart. I also really wanted nice new rubber feet for this machine, and I found some. They come from this seller, which is located in the Netherlands. They're really nice and grippy. Definitely check them out if you are looking for new real rubber feet for your machines. And I think that's enough talking. Time for some typing. Right, that's it. Have a nice day. Bye.